Welcome to TTM Cast, your sports collectibles podcast,
Sponsored by
sportscollectorsdaily.com. If it happens in the hobby, you'll find it on sportscollectorsdaily.com. And sponsored by gemrate.com. The latest grading statistic from the 4 major grading companies is just a click away. Visit gemrate.com. It's free.
And now, here's our host, Drew Pelto.
Well, hello, everybody. We are coming to you once again here with TTM Cast, your sports collectibles podcast. Place where we talk about TTM, autographs, cards, collecting, a whole lot of other stuff, but mostly stuff all around there, but kind of whatever else comes to mind as well. We're into season number 7, episode 17 is our August episode. We are recording this on August the 2nd, 2025, here on this nationally ranked sports collectibles podcast. I am Drew Pelto hosting this show, coming to you here from North Texas, and by God, that's Troy Rudder's music. He's back in the co-host seat here this week. Troy, great to have you here with us.
Great to be back. You know, I guess I didn't get to pick my walk-on music this time. You know, usually it's I wish I was Oscar Mayer Wiener or something like that. So.
So we've got Troy back with us. We'll talk a little bit more about that later on as Arron is out on the road. We'll be hearing from him. But let's take a look at some sports stuff here going on. The MLB trading deadline, of course, just went by this past week. I know for myself here as a Cleveland fan, I did see we got given a B rating from one of the things out there. I think it might have been Yahoo Sports or something like that. And I don't know. I feel like it's like, yeah, they didn't really make any moves, but they didn't really sell either. They just kind of stood pat. And I'm like, I guess, I mean, you're 8 games out in the Central. It's kind of, I guess, you know, you didn't really give up anything major. I mean, they traded Shane Bieber, but he hasn't pitched all this season coming off surgery. Mm-hmm. They traded a bullpen arm that, you know, has been spent most of the year on the injured list. So it's like no huge losses, no huge gains. Yeah, I guess that's okay there. But Texas picking up 3 pitchers, which I saw that, and I'm like, their problem's been hitting this year. Why are they going after pitching? But I guess their hitting's kind of picked up a little bit here lately. And then what do? They go and lose game 6-0 and then get walked off last night. So it's like, hey, how'd that work out for you guys there? But Troy, any thoughts from your teams there as to how the deadline went?
No, I've just kind of been consoling my friend who's a big Giants fan on losing Yaz. But that's pretty much the one that, you know, he's taking it pretty hard that he's going to the Royals, so just kind of consoling him, making sure, checking in, you know, throughout the day, making sure he's still okay.
Right. I will say that out of purely selfish reasons, I'm okay with that trade because, I mean, it's 2 teams that both do spring training in Arizona. And in my 2024 trip, he was a great signer. I saw him there with San Francisco. Didn't see him at all on my 2025 trip, but okay, maybe future trips, if he stays with the Royals there, I'll still have more chance to get him. So at least, you know, he didn't get shipped out to a Florida team or something like that. So I'm okay with that one.
I will say, so obviously I'm older, so I'm on Facebook a lot, as probably a bunch of our listeners are. But I'm kind of annoyed at all of the AI pictures of like locker rooms and people, you know, empty locker rooms and people sitting around, and the AI versions of people in or ones that have been traded in the new uniforms or throwing the other one away. You know, just the AI explosion this year in creating these graphics for the trade announcements just kind of annoy me. That's what's bugging Troy today.
I am absolutely with you on that. I mean, as one who, you know, works in photography and photo selection, yeah, I don't know. It really annoys me, and especially when it becomes so obvious on someone. Like, I'm in a couple of custom card creating groups, and it used to be there's like some artistry to that. You know, you had to be able to copy the like if you're trying to make like a, let's say I tried to use like a 1982 Topps design for a card of a current player or something like that. There's some artistry involved in that. You had to actually sit down and take the time to, you know, figure out this template and everything and put in a good photo and all that. And God, so much of the stuff people are doing with AI stuff, and it's like, come on, at least make it look decent and realistic and not like it was so obviously created by it. And that's that. I will say that is the one thing, at least so far, is that so much AI stuff, it's so easy to spot when it's made by it. I mean, over time, it's only going to get tougher. But at least right now I can look at it and go, oh, come on, really? Whereas, you know, give it 5 years from now, we're going to be like, Yeah, I can't tell the difference there. So, yeah.
Yep. So that's my that's what was bugging me about the trades this past week, or the fake photos. So
yes, definitely. Well, we've got NFL preseason underway here as well. Had our first game there with the Hall of Fame game the other night. Chargers beating the Lions in that one. Troy, how much do you follow the preseason? I know last year you talked about getting the NFL package during the regular season, being able to catch all the games.
Mm-hmm.
Do you cover preseason? You follow preseason stuff at all?
Not so much the last few years, to be honest with you. Yeah.
I'm kind of the same way. I'll tune into the Browns games, but not quite so much as like 5-10 years ago. I would sit down and I'd be like, okay, so who is on kickoff coverage here in the third quarter that might have a chance of making the team as a practice squad guy or something like that? And I'm like, no, I'll watch it for the entertainment. That's about it. But yeah.
Years ago when I was oh my gosh, I can't even think of the year. Someone will correct me on the year, but I did a whole bunch of TTMing during preseason. That's how I got like Luke Kuechly and a bunch of those guys who are now retired. That shows how old old that was. But used to do pretty well TTMing preseason, but that's been a hot minute.
I used to try to do that like right after the draft. Usually you'd have the college and draft sets would come out right after it, and so I'd pick up those, mail them off to the first few picks, and I didn't quite have the success there. And I've heard it's only gotten worse since then. I did at least get Jared Goff as a rookie, so I had that going for me, which was nice. But then you mail off to 30 guys and you get 2 of them back. It's like, well, that makes my teeth itch. So we're not going to be doing that anymore. So,
right.
NBA and NHL, they exist. They've got their off season. There's not a whole lot to say there. And kind of the elephant in the room of things to talk about here. And unfortunately, this came out 2 weeks ago. It feels like it's been 2 months now at this point with everything that goes on now in the world. But the Brett Lemieux counterfeiting bust story, I don't know if you followed that at all. And it's just weird because it was this huge story for like 2 days, and it just seems to have just disappeared after that, where the FBI or somebody took down this counterfeiting ring, and the guy in charge of it was found dead in there during it, had killed himself during it. But have you heard anything new about this? Any new developments in it all? Because, I'm sitting here, I'm like, I heard that it happened. I can't think of, having heard much of anything else from it.
No, just kind of what you said. I was actually, let's see, I forget where I was. And I'm still a member of a chat group with a bunch of TTMers out there, and they were talking about this, but I hadn't heard anything new. Like you said, it just kind of petered off there. No updates that I've heard of. I think it was in Indiana, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Yeah. No, I haven't heard anything.
Yeah. So something definitely worth keeping an eye on, an ear on. But no new developments in it, which I thought was very surprising. But at the same time, it's like, hey, FBI, couldn't you have held out on that search for like a week and a half or so we could have really gotten into it on here? Because at this point, it seems like everybody else has already covered it. It's like there's not a whole lot of new stuff. It's like, oh man, we kind of missed out on it. But oh well, it's definitely something to keep an eye on during the next few weeks, months, whenever anything comes out.
Yeah.
Well, over the last month, had a few set purchases that I've made. So I picked up autograph cards for my 2021 Heritage sets. I was able to get a Ryan McMahon. Speaking of trading deadline stuff, going from the Rockies to the Yankees. But I picked up one of him on eBay for a fairly affordable price. I think it was like $10, including shipping on it. So not bad there at all for a guy that's a former All-Star. Also picked up a Pete Crow Alonso for the Heritage Minors set in there as well. I was kind of dreading it because, of course, he makes the All-Star team this year. And a few years ago, I could have picked him up for like, $20-25 or something. And I might have a chance of getting him in person. I better hold off on that because he signs mostly for kids, but he does at least sign occasionally. So I thought, okay, we'll hold off on that. Didn't get him at spring training at all. And the prices started shooting up on it. It's like, okay, now these ones that were 25 have gone up to 30, now up to 50, up to 70. And I'm like, crap, I missed the window on him. And fortunately, I found one that was signed in black Sharpie. Not my preferred, but I will take it because, especially with this set, there's so much stuff I'm doing by mail on all those Heritage ones. So I can't really write to a guy and say, please sign this in blue and, very easily. I used to occasionally put it in there, but I don't care that much anymore. So finding one signed in black Sharpie that matches up well with his other SIGs that I know are good, it's like, $30 including shipping. I will take my chances on that one. And so I was able to snag that one at least for the set. So a couple of additions I was able to make in there. Graf Kleburn here once this past week. They played against the Milwaukee Milkmen. Not a whole lot of former Major League guys on there, but did at least get Delvin Perez, a former top prospect of the Cardinals. DJ Boston, former Blue Jays prospect, is one of their coaches. So I was able to get stuff from those two guys and a couple others. But yeah, fairly light month in the graphing front there, in person at least. And just been spending a lot of time doing a lot of sorting and more sorting. I may have mentioned on last month's episode that my boss gave me like 20,000 cards, mostly football and baseball. So I've been going through those, sorting them into everything else, and figuring out, okay, who signs out of these, get cards put aside for myself, put aside for a friend of mine who does some TTMing with his nephew. And yeah, that's been my entire existence there. So I finally got through all the football the other day. I'm going to start basketball and racing here the next couple of days, and then throughout the month just try to knock out any of the baseball ones that I can. So that's where I'm at right now.
Sorting, that's what you were doing the last time I was on this show.
Yeah, it never ends. It is crazy. It just, yeah. The funny thing is the stuff that the crazy thing is the stuff that I was sorting back then, I got done with back by around like May or so. And my boss is like, oh yeah, hey, here's a whole bunch. Come pick them up. And I'm like, crap. This is great. I love free cards. I love having stuff I can mail out. There's stuff in there that I'd never seen before. But yeah, it's tedious. It is a beating, but I'm chipping my way through it at least. So I got that going for me. So Troy, it's been 7 months since we've had you on the show. What have you been up to here in the last month, year, however long?
Well, speaking of sorting, I decided not to sort. I actually had it was last fall. I went to it was a Facebook Marketplace, and it was $50 for, I don't know how many of these huge monster boxes. And there was one of hockey, and Mike from, you might remember him from the Autograph Network or Autographs for a Cure. Back in the day, Mike Rhodes, he's a big hockey guy, as I know you are. And so I actually, I got my money's worth out of the priority mail flat rate box, and I sent him just a bunch out of this garage sale find. And so I figured he could sort those with his kid, and that would be
right.
They could do that, you know. And of course, when he got it, he's like, these aren't sorted. And I'm like, I know.
Surprise!
Exactly. I also have like a couple big boxes of football that I need to go through, because I haven't done football TTM in quite a while. But I guess my big purchase, I found, I don't even remember who it was. I had misspelled a name on my 1991 Don Russ set list. It might have been Mike McFarland, actually, now that I think about it. Anyway, I had misspelled it. And so I was always looking for this card, had the eBay alerts, everything. And then I just decided to go through, and I found out that this card had been on ABC Unlimited for years for like $7. And so I went and picked that up. I need 16 out of 770 left for that set now. And the other thing I did was I did pop on, I was so excited. I think I actually sent this to you, Drew, when I got it. But the slab Griffey in blue from PSA. And so I did pop on that. There were also a couple of those Ricky Henderson recollection autographs.
Okay, yeah.
The problem is every time I'd go to look those up to like verify if it was really, you know, a set of 9 or a set of whatever, there is zero documentation for the recollection numbered cards. Like I could not find, you know, this card was a 1 to 9 of this. And so the skeptic in me was like, someone could get an old typewriter and do like a 1/9 over and over and over and over again, get a little brush in, put something in there, do something. But I could not find any documentation on these recollection autographs from I think they were released in the early 2000s of the 1991 Donruss. So I kind of let those all peter out, and they relist them. They must not sell about once a month or something like that. So those are still out there. I still need one of them, and that one's obviously going to be tough to get otherwise.
Right.
But other than that, those are the two purchases. I got a few returns that I'll mention later, but haven't really sent anything out because every time I seem to want to send stuff out, the price goes up on the stamps, as you well know. Every 6 months, it seems like right now. But,
yeah, definitely is.
I was gonna maybe sell out, but then I took everything out of top loaders that I had, got them boxed up, and was like, no, I don't want to do that. And so I put them back in top loaders and resorted everything.
Oh,
and got them back in. But that's kind of my last few months, I guess.
Yeah. I know you talked about, you're going to take a little break from the hobby there and stuff. It sounds like it's gone pretty well there. Get a little relaxation in there in that time and kind of focus a little bit more on, very specific things like, finding that Griffey and such. So yeah, it's definitely good.
Yeah. And those are everyone that's pretty much back or left is going to be anywhere from $150 to $300+ and I'm really only looking for PSAs on those at this point because it's another Griffey, it's I think one more Ripken, and just some odds and ends, but getting so close, Drew. 16,
that's how I feel.
16.
That's how I feel about that the Topps Total Hockey set there. I mean, I'm down to, it's a 440 card set. I'm 3 away, and the last 3 are just, they're tough, they're expensive, and just like, just finish it off already, please. Somebody help me out here. So I feel your pain on that one for sure. Well, taking a look here, as we mentioned before, Arron Littleton not in the co-host seat this week. That's because he is out on the road, and we will hear from him in our TTM Cast on the road segment coming up later on. That's going to come in the middle of everything, where we have all of our regular segments. Before that, we'll have Baker's Dozen talking about upcoming signings and news in the hobby. Got Hobby Happenings covering all of the shows that are upcoming here in the month of August. After we go on the road with Arron, we'll have Making the Grade, covering things from the world of grading here in our hobby. We'll give out the TTM Cast stamp of approval, our thumbs up on anything from the previous week. Sometimes it's sports and collectibles related. A lot of times it's not. We have the Vern Rapp Minute, covering deaths in the world of sports, celebrity, music, movies, politics. Anybody that's been a good TTMer or a known signer at a lot of card shows or anything like that, if they've passed away, we will let you know about that. And, of course, the main reason why the show exists, it is our TTM Returns. If you'd like to get a hold of us, Troy, where can people email us?
Well, the best email is ttmcast@yahoo.com.
So if you have any questions, any comments, anything like that, send those our way through that address. If you want to get a hold of me directly, my website is dfwgrapher.com. Of course, you can check out the show at ttmcast.com. I'm on pretty much all of social media at dfwgrapher. You can email me at dfwgrapher@gmail.com as well. Troy, where can people follow you online?
Well, the website is still up at ttmautograph.com. That is also over on the YouTubes, where I post a video every so often, and those are probably the best way. My Twitter is pretty much non-existent these days, so hey, catch up on YouTube at ttmautograph.com.
There you go. So give Troy a follow there. Check out his website, follow his YouTube channel, all that good stuff as well. With that, that's a big intro right there. Let's go on into Baker's Dozen.
Baker's Dozen, sponsored by SportsCollectorsDaily.com.
Smart collectors turn to Sports Collectors Daily to stay up to date. From new releases to incredible collections hitting the auction block, news from inside the business of sports collectibles, and much more, Sports Collectors Daily has it, all with no subscription cost. SC Daily also delivers a live look at the most watched sports card auctions on eBay for every sport. Sign up to get the headlines in your email for free, or just visit the website whenever you like. With 16,000 stories in the archive going back 16 years, there is always plenty to read at sportscollectorsdaily.com.
Baker's Dozen is a summary of all things in the collectibles industry, hobby, anything like that. Any kind of news that comes up, we try to let you know about it. So first off, going to remind everybody again, sportscollectorsdaily.com is a great place to go and check out all of the collectibles news. And I write a weekly article for them, typically on all things autographs, a lot of TTM info in there, and any in-person graphing that I do, and whatever other topics come to mind for me to write about during the week as well. So all of them being autograph related. So go check it out, sportscollectorsdaily.com. Also, you may see people out once in a while wearing TTM Cast stuff, and you can get your own in a TTM Cast store. TTMcast.com, top banner is the link there. We have T-shirts, we have hats, we have hoodies, we have an aluminum water bottle that works great for keeping yourself cool during the hot graphing days out there here as we get into the dog days of summer here in August. So again, TTMcast.com, go check that out. Go get yourself some stuff. Add your TTM Cast swag, I guess, there, whatever, to have out at the games. Well, we don't talk about new releases very much, only when we've got something that's, fairly affordable and helps out the TTMers out there. But we've got a few that are coming up soon here that might be worth checking out. First off, the 2025 Topps Baseball Factory sets are due out this week. August 6th is when those are supposed to be hitting the stores. They've got a 700-card base set in there. You'll get the entire thing, along with 3 short print rookie cards and 5 base parallels. So a lot of cool stuff going on in there. You can check those out at $55.
And coming up the next week, August 13th, we have 2025 Panini Prism Baseball. That's a pretty good product there. 12 cards per pack, 12 packs per box. And with that, you get 3 autographs and 12 inserts. And the pre-sale price there, $175.
And going 1 week after that for the hockey collectors out there is the 25-26 Upper Deck MVP hockey set will be coming out on August the 20th. I don't have any info on the hobby box. They didn't have the price posted up on those yet as to how that's going to run. But at the very least, blasters are going to have 6 cards per pack, 11 packs per box. There's 10 regular packs and 1 bonus pack in there. Only $20 on those blaster boxes. So nice to see that. I know for a while, blasters seem to be getting up to the $25 and $30 range and kind of dropping back down a bit here, back to 20. So very happy to see that right there for all the hockey collectors out there. Well, for those of you who are interested in getting in on some private signings, I'll talk to you a little bit about one of those a little bit later on in the show, but there's a lot of them that are coming up here in September. Try to give you about a month leeway on those because they usually like having all their items in the week before. So kind of late to talk about some of the August stuff, but how about September? Got Smith's Cards starting off. They've got 3 of them coming up early on in the month. You can check them out, smithscards.com. Matt Moore, former Tampa Bay Rays pitcher, is going to be signing through them starting at $25 an item. They're also going to have Corey Hart at $15, former Brewer, and, of course, Scott Hairston, former multi-team guy in there, $15 on him. So if you need those guys, go check them out at smithscards.com.
And the Wilder Side of Sports at wildersideofsports.com has a bunch of people coming up here in September. September 6th, you have Andrew Jones starting at $25. He is a good TTMer, but if you have a specific card, definitely check him out. Also, September 6th, Denny McLain at $20. Coming up on September 27th, Vontaze Burfict and Braxton Miller and Ken Anderson, all starting at $25. So that will be a good time there. Cardell Jones at $20, Pat McNally at $35, and set extraordinaire for the set collectors, Todd Benzinger and Jim Breach, both at a reasonable $10. Again, that is wildersideofsports.com. So some good deals there.
DEB Sports, you can find them on Facebook at DEB Sports. They've got 2 coming up on September the 6th. Duffy Dyer, former, I believe, Pirates catcher, if I remember correctly, $12 starting price on him. And Adam Melhuse, former Oakland A, I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, $8 the starting cost on his autograph through them.
And coming up from Autographs Inc., that is at theautographsinc.com. September 27th, Paul Pressey, starting at just $10 there at theautographsinc.com.
And just a reminder, that is ink with a K as like the stuff that you autograph with, not ink as in incorporated. So just a heads up for everyone there.
Sorry, I took that a little bit for granted there.
It happened. I usually remind people that every week, and I forgot to put that in there. But yeah, it's just in case. You never know how people are going to think on that. So I got one that I actually just mailed off to Jamie Bly on SCN, just with the screen name of Jamie Bly. He's runs Bly Sports Marketing, and I've gone through him a number of times, but he has at the end of September, the 26th, he's going to have Terrence Long, formerly of the A's, and Lloyd Mosby, formerly of the Blue Jays and the Tigers. $12 each on them. I had 3 Mosby needs, so those have made their way over to him. He's also going to have basketball player LaSalle Thompson, former Pacer, I believe, for $15, signing on September the 28th. And Troy, I'll give you the next 2 on here, so I've got a very long one coming up right after that.
Lucky you. All right, Silverback Sports on September 6th. We have Kelly Stinnett for $12. I could only assume that it's probably $10 for the person and $2 for the feed. That's why all these are kind of an odd number. That's just my thoughts. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Makes sense. It makes sense for sure.
And then JB Autos, September 26th. Rich Gedman and Ed Figueroa, both at a reasonable $10. So 2 there. And we'll send it over to Drew for his next big one here.
Yeah, this is a long one here, and it's going to be a big one for any Atlanta Braves fans out there. There's a couple non-Braves in there, even one non-baseball one in there. But hey, if you're a Braves collector of the 90s teams, you're going to like this one from Mail Order Mike. He's at mailordermike.com. September 26th. This is a big one. Some big names in here, but starting things off, we'll go from most expensive to least expensive on these here. Andrew Jones and David Justice both signing at this, $45 each on them. I think that's right around what Justice is charging through Pass Pros, if I remember correctly. He's also going to have Greg Nettles for $40, very briefly a Brave in his career, more famous, of course, as a Yankee, Indian, couple other teams in there. Ricky Steamboat, pro wrestler, $35 for him. Alejandro Pena, $30 for him, former, Brave and Met and Dodger, maybe a couple others in there, but at least those ones off the top of my head. For $25 each, we have Steve Avery, Mark Wohlers, Kent Merker, Cecil Fielder, Javi Lopez, Ryan Klesko, Jose Canseco, and Terry Pendleton. So I'm sure some guys in there people are going to need for sets. I know Wohlers and Merker don't sign by mail. Fielder has just been doing private signings lately typically in the $10 to $25 range or so. Lopez not a TTM either. Canseco, that's around his normal price there as well. And also, they're going to have Sid Bream and Mike Devereaux there at $20 each. So once again, mailordermike.com for all you Braves fans out there. Go and check him out. And while I catch my breath, Troy, we'll give you these the last 3 on here since they're fairly short and quick ones there.
All right, coming up September 27th from Signatures for You. That is a U, as in the letter U. Bob Horner for $20. ML Sports Enterprises, a.k.a. MLSE, coming up September 29th. Charlie Hayes will be signing for $20. And Carl's Cards will be having Al Oliver sign on September 6th for $29. So get your submissions in. You may have to look for the addresses and all that fun stuff on the websites that we gave you, but definitely some good signers coming up, especially for those set collectors.
Absolutely. A lot of them out there that I'm like, ooh, yeah, I haven't seen that one sign in a bit. And hey, if you want to get more info on these, have a good way to be able to get the money to these people and get their addresses to send off to them, go and check out sportscollectors.net. They have a huge listing of private signings on there, including ones we don't have listed here. I try to keep it to ones that are starting at under $50. And if you're willing to pay more for some bigger names, go and check out sportscollectors.net and get involved in some of those private signings. Right now, let's go ahead and jump on over and into Hobby Happenings.
You heard that right. It's time for Hobby Happenings.
Hobby Happenings is just a way for us to let you know what card shows are going on out there, who's going to be signing at them, what shows are going on, all that kind of stuff all around the country. And right now in August, we're getting into the post-national kind of doldrums here for at least a couple of weeks or so here, because, I mean, that's going on right now over in Chicago. Troy, that's not too far from you. Were you considering getting out to the National this year at all, or?
Not this year. I actually just got back from Las Vegas here a couple days ago, so that was my treat for my birthday here. So
nice. Well, I know we've got a lot of other collectors that are out there. There's a lot of posts on Facebook groups about it and everything, and I'm going to be at next year's show at least, so I haven't missed this year, but looking forward to next year's one at the very least. But right now, let's see what's coming up in the month of August. Starting out down in South Carolina, we've got the Myrtle Beach Expo. It's going to be August 8th through the 9th. Myrtle Beach Sports Center in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Admission $10 per day on that one. They're going to have 8 signers out of this, including William Shatner, Dennis Rodman, and Ricky Williams, probably the 3 biggest names out of those 8. For more information, we mentioned these guys earlier, but check out wildersideofsports.com.
And coming up August 15th through the 17th, we have the East Coast National. That's going to be taking place at Westchester County Center. I almost messed that up, but I got it, Drew. Worcestershire, Westchester County Center in White Plains, New York. And the admission there is $15. Pretty good slate, pretty good numbers. 25 signers, including Jose Canseco, Dr. J, and Barry Sanders. So Canseco making the rounds, definitely. You can find more information about that at luckyscardshows.com. Again, that's coming up the 15th through the 17th.
Definitely a very East-centric here in these first few. We have the Virginia Beach Show also coming up. That's same weekend, August 16th through the 17th, down at the Virginia Beach Fieldhouse. Great price for entry there. Admission and parking are both free out there, so you really can't beat that. As I know, a lot of these shows you have to pay for both of them. So if you can get both free, definitely go and check it out if you're in the area. 5 signers are going to have there, including former Washington Redskins running back. I think he may have been a Atlanta Falcon as well. Gerald Riggs, he's going to be out there, as is former National League MVP Kevin Mitchell of the Giants, the Padres, the Mets, played for the Indians, the Reds, bounced around all over the place. But he's going to be out there as well. 757cardshows.com is the site to check out for more information.
And we do want to bounce over to the other coast here for the LA Card Expo, one day, August 16th. That is at the Marriott Warner Center in Woodland Hills, California. I've been over there. I think I've actually been to that Marriott. Not sure. The admission there is $20. And among those signing, here you go, Darryl Strawberry and Dwight Gooden. So I think I need one more Strawberry too, but we'll I won't be making that trip, but maybe I could get someone to go for me. You can find out more about that, lacardexpo.com. Again, that's over in Woodland Hills, California.
Heading back over the east side again, we've got the Dedham Show on August 17th. Once again, Cardboard Promotions is the big one on this one. It's at the Holiday Inn, Dedham, Massachusetts, with a $3 admission cost. Going goalie-centric on the signing here to start out with Jerry Cheevers and Gilles Meloche, both out there signing at that show. John Smith will be there as well, former New England Patriots kicker. If you want to get info on that show and the prices on those autographs, go and check out cardboardpromotions.com.
And to the Midwest we go, the Orlando Gardens Show, August 24th at the Orlando Gardens Center in St. Louis. And the admission there is $3. There you can find Jack Clark, Tom Niedenfuhr, and Danny Cox. So definitely check that out at stlsportscollectors.com. That's stlsportscollectors.com.
So Orlando Gardens is not in Florida, but this next show is. That is the Hobby Card Show, August 23rd through the 24th. That's going to be down in Fort Lauderdale at the Broward County Convention Center. $12 admission cost on that show. And they're going to have 9 signers out there, including the aforementioned Dwight Gooden. Also, Andre Dawson will be there as well, and Jim Kelly, former Buffalo Bills and Miami Hurricanes Hall of Fame quarterback. If you want to check that one out, it's the hobbycardshow.com. That is the THE hobbycardshow.com.
And sneaking into September here, the Mansfield Show at the Envision Hotel in Mansfield, Massachusetts. Admission there is only $4, and among those attending, Bill Ranford and Grant Furr. So check them out again at cardboardpromotions.com, and you could also see probably all the other shows that Cardboard Promotions are coming up with here soon.
Oh, yes. And they do offer mail-ins on a lot of those shows as well. So great reason to check their site out, especially, I mean, Out of the 5 signers we mentioned at those upcoming shows for them, 4 of them are goalies. So there's got to be a few goalie collectors out there that are going to need those guys. So definitely go and check them out. So once again, like I said, they may offer mail-ins there. I know they do too. A lot of these shows do. If you go to cravetheauto.com, you can get more information about shows and signings that are taking place all over the country from today all the way until, well, whenever they run out. I think maybe they may have stuff on all the way to the end of the year in some cases there on the site. So make sure you go and check them out if you want to get in on, check out any of those shows. Right now, let's go ahead and head out on the road with Arron Littleton.
Let's hear from Arron Littleton on the road.
Where in the world is Cardman San Diego? That's, I guess it kind of works out there. But Arron Littleton is out on the road here the last couple of weeks doing his annual road trip. Every 4 years, it's him and me going out onto the National, a bunch of other places. And in between, it's usually him and his mom will go and check out all sorts of parks around the country and just visit whatever they can. And so right now, we're going to hear from him. All right, well, we are here with Arron Littleton, normally our co-host. He is out on the road this week. That's why we had Troy sitting in with us. But you're what, a week and a half now into this trip? I think something like that. It seems. I think it saw like day 11 or something like that the other day on the Facebook post and stuff. So been out for a bit. Where are you at right now?
Yeah, so I'm actually a little bit behind on my Facebook post. This trip has been crazy because it's basically like drive 4 or 5 hours and then go to a game, and then at night I'm normally up to like 2:00 sorting through cards like a madman, getting stuff together. I want to say today is actually day 15. I think I'm a few days behind on the post that I've been doing, and so I'm coming to you now from Concord, North Carolina, between Kannapolis and Charlotte. We've been staying here a couple of nights. We did Kannapolis 2 nights ago, and then last night we did Charlotte.
Nice. Where all have you been so far on there? Just give us a quick rundown of the games that you've gotten to see so far.
So it has been quite the tour so far. We started out, the first game that we saw the second night that we were gone was in Montgomery. So we saw the Montgomery Biscuits. That's long been my favorite minor league team. Fantastic branding. Then after that, we went to Nashville. Then we went to Atlanta. Then we went to Columbus, Georgia. Then Greenville, South Carolina. Then Myrtle Beach. It rained. Then we seen a lot of rain. Then we went to Asheville, North Carolina. Then Hickory. Then we went to Richmond, Virginia. And then we were in Bowie, Maryland, and then Lynchburg, and then, like I said, Kannapolis and Charlotte. I'm getting ready to head out here pretty soon. Last two games of the trip will be tonight in Spartanburg, South Carolina, and then an early game on Sunday in Chattanooga, and then I will make my way back to Texas.
You mentioned the rain in there. How many games have you had that have gotten delays in them so far? And how has that either helped or hindered graphing? Because, you go back to our trip from 2022, we couldn't do anything in Baltimore because of the rain there. And then we had the same thing with Chattanooga, and we absolutely cleaned up there. So how's it been on this one at the various places?
And so for Richmond, the game actually got canceled. And so it's crazy because it's been so weird because it hasn't been like, I've looked at the forecast almost every day and it's been like, oh, well, it's not going to rain, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, bang, and so it's been like, I don't know, very late occurring, but we were sitting there in Richmond. And so I graphed, and it's the last year of that park. And so that's the only time that I'll ever get to be there. The game got washed out. But, and I graphed beforehand and it was a nice day and, it's sunny and it's mid-90s or whatever. And then all of a sudden we're sitting there and like the first inning, you see this cloud off in the distance. And that was the fastest traveling storm that I've ever seen. It was just like, oh, hey, it's a cloud. And then before you know it, wind and it's whipping up trash and people are trying to put the tarp on the field and they're getting ragdolled. Trying to do it. And they finally had to bring out every piece of equipment they own. They even got the push mowers out to hold the tarp down. Yeah, it was quite a storm, and so that one hurt because I didn't get to graph after, but at least I got to graph before. I think, and so that one got canceled, and then the last 2 nights there's been at least an hour rain delay. So in Kannapolis a couple nights ago, there was an hour rain delay, and then Chad Pender, who's the former Oakland A, but he's now the manager in Kannapolis, and whoever the manager in Delmarva is, after this hour rain delay, they go out and they're like, "Hey, there's a spot out here that we don't want, people getting, injured. It's still wet. We need to clean it up." And so they got the blower out, and so it took them an hour to blow dry this one spot. And so, but that one actually helped me because I had originally started on the Kannapolis side, and I got this. I got all the Kannapolis guys that I needed. Well, they're getting ready to start. All the players come in doing high fives like they normally do when they're getting ready to start the game, and then they just never started the game. And then after that, they're like, it's going to be half an hour. And so all the players start milling around. Well, I went over to the Delmarva side and got the guys that I needed over there. So that one helped. Last night in Charlotte was crazy because we're waiting outside and it is Harry Potter night. Okay, so they've got branded Charlotte Knights hats. And, it's crazy and it's a popular giveaway. And there's like, I don't know, 100 people waiting outside in the rain. Just, we're waiting in line and we all got super wet. They wouldn't let us in. So it was about half an hour before the game. And then, so we had to go wait in like this, I don't know, the side of this pub. They had a place where we could wait and not get wet. Well, then we had to go right back out there to get in the gate. It was a little bit of a mess, but yeah, that one ended up not really helping or hurting because it once the rain delay was over, they just started the game. But it definitely was a help in Kannapolis a couple nights ago.
Give us real quick here, just a quick summary of each of them, your best and worst parks for graphing along this. I know you sent me one of them there. I'm not going to give it away yet, just in case it gets on the worst list there. But one where there was literally no access except a small, like about 8-inch by 6-inch hole or something to reach through there. But give us real quick. What was the best one so far for graphing? What's the worst one for graphing?
Okay, so so I guess I'll start with the best one. And so there's 2 that are the best ones, and it's hard not to go with Hickory, North Carolina, which is the Rangers single A affiliate. And the reason is, and so they come out with 2 team sets every year, so that definitely helps graphic numbers when you've got 2 team sets. I bought both of them, but the access is great. You go down the third base line, and both teams come out there, and there's no net down there because there's no seats. It's just like a big, almost like ramp that you would get like a wheelchair down or something. And so there's no seats over there, so there's no nets, and you can just stand right next to the fence, and the players on both teams come straight by you. And so that one was great. And then the other one was Greenville, South Carolina. Also, we saw Hub City, which is the team that we're going to see today, which is the Rangers High A affiliate. And then we saw the Greenville Drive, obviously the team that is the home team there, which is the Boston Red Sox High A. And that's great. It's like they've got a net, you've seen the nets in like Little Rock where they can pull it up and carabine it to the top of the net. And so there's like a place where you can just stand and graph normally. And then there's a little tunnel, and all the players were great. So yeah, Hickory was great. Greenville was great. By far, those were the best ones on the trip so far. The worst was, I've actually the worst one by far was Columbus, Georgia. And I've heard terrible things about it. But, with me, it's like I'm trying to go to all these ballparks. And so I'm like, the goal is, and people are like, I win, I got 0, it was terrible, blah, blah, blah. And so my goal is I'm not going to get shut out at these terrible parks. And so, yeah, the thing about Columbus, and I'll try to explain this as succinctly as possible without putting anybody to sleep, but basically the only place where you could hand something through the net exists on either side in the middle of a massive picnic area. Okay. But the people who run the place will not let you in there if they've got a group, even though you would not bother anybody at all, you know. And so the only other recourse if you can't get in the picnic area is on the home plate side, the opposite side that the players come in. On the home plate side of the dugout, there is probably about a hand-sized hole there.
Jeez.
And so, yeah, so basically you're standing on the wrong side of the dugout from where the players come in. And so they're like, I don't know, 50 yards from you, and you're trying to yell at them, and most of them can't hear you or ignore you. I did get a couple people to come over, but yeah, that one's really rough if you can't get in the picnic area. But I felt like I put up a valiant fight. And then outside was good if you can recognize the players, but inside just completely terrible.
Tell us about some of the food at some of the parks. I know that's always a big thing that we always look for when we're on the road there, but what's been among the best things you've been able to find here so far?
Yeah, among the best things I've been able to find. So in Atlanta, we had this thing, and I will be the first to admit that I got more than I bargained for with this, but they have this giant sandwich called the Home Run Stack, and it is basically a double-decker burger, right? But it's on like toast, or I guess bread. And so it's double-decker on either side, and they cut it in half, and so it's 2 hamburger patties, right? And then it is barbecue, and it says on the thing candied bacon. To me, that means, oh, we're gonna crisp up some bacon. We're gonna, pound it into little pieces and sprinkle it over there. This was like 1/4 inch thick bacon.
Wow.
It was the biggest bacon I've ever seen in my entire life. And so all of that, and then on top of the 2 stacks, you've got like 3 or 4 onion rings a piece and fries. And so it was like this massive plate of food, and it was really good. And they've got 2 types of barbecue sauce. One that's golden. I would assume that some sort of mustard based barbecue sauce, but then they also have Coca-Cola barbecue sauce, which I thought was interesting. But yeah, super good. Tons of food. Like, you could probably eat that you probably need at least 2 people to eat that. So I did not finish it, but it was pretty good. The other night, let me see here, in Lynchburg, I had this thing. They and so you go around to some parks, and sometimes they have a like eat your opponent, whatever, and so they make a dish inspired by the team they're playing. And so they had this burrito, they had 2 of them, one called the Sox because they were playing the Salem Red Sox. And so one called the Sox and one called the Dirty Sox. And so I got the Sox. It was a massive burrito. I don't know. I mean, at least a pound burrito. And it had on it chicken strips, bacon, fries, lettuce, cheese, and a chipotle mayo, like aioli thing. And it was pretty good. I enjoyed it.
Nice. I'm trying to think what else. So, best and worst teams for signing. Have there been any that have been really way above and beyond some of the others? Some that have been way worse than any of the others, or has it just kind of varied mostly depending on how the ballpark has been?
And so last night, Charlotte, a lot of the guys just ignored me. And I'm like the only one down there. And I mean, that's fine. That's AAA. And I ended up getting
kind of mad if I were in the White Sox organization too. So I get that. So yeah.
Yeah, and so yeah, it was a little bit rough, and the rain really kind of changes stuff because you've got the nets, and the nets are just sopping wet, and you're trying to, it's just a mess down there, and so it was just not a great situation. I tried to make the best of it. But yeah, so Charlotte wasn't a particularly great team, but the guys that came over were great. Brian Ramos, I got Drew Baker, who is from Houston, and so I always like the Texas guys, talk to them about Texas because nobody loves anything like Texans love Texas.
Boy, that's true.
Yeah. So yeah, I got those guys, and then I got a few others afterward. Greenville was a good signing team, but the one that was crazy to me that I really didn't expect was the Hub City Spartanburgers, which is the team right under Frisco that we normally graph. And so, with the Rangers prospects, I normally probably like you get a bunch of cards of the guys who we'll see in the future, and so I walked in, I had 7 Anthony Gutierrez. I've got, 7 Glider Figueroa. I've got all of these cards for these guys, and they just knocked them out. The only one who really didn't sign, I think, was Dylan Dreeling, but almost everybody just signed like 7 cards for me, and I was like, wow, this is fantastic. And Greenville was good, and so both of those teams really kind of stand out as great signing teams.
How many total autographs you had so far for the trip?
I knew you were going to ask that, and so I figured it up. I am currently at 389 for the trip.
All right.
So hopefully today we can crack 400. It's always interesting trying to graph on these trips because you got one shot, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so people say things about parks, people say things about people, it's like, oh, this park is a great signing park. Well, under any number of circumstances in one night, you could not do that well, and the thing is, and I think that we've borne that out too. Some people are like, oh, that guy's terrible, he never signs. Well, in one time you ask him, maybe he decides to sign that night, and so anything can happen. There's any number of variables that happen when you're only in town for one night. But so far I've been happy with my output. It as long as I can get to 400 cards and not fall short the next 2 nights, I'll be pretty happy with the trip.
It's kind of funny you mentioned that about, the guys that, oh yeah, he never signs, and he suddenly does. I used to have that happen sometimes with Jeff when he was hosting the show. I'd say something about, oh yeah, this guy, he doesn't sign by mail. I was like, yeah, he does. I got him. And I'm like, you got him 3 years ago. He has stopped in that time there, guys. So yeah, habits can change like that and everything very easily. Does that 389 include the ones you got from me, or is that not including those?
But that is not including those. I think I'm up to 24 for you. So I'm up.
So there you go. You've gotten over 400 signed on a trip then, technically. So yeah.
But yeah, I normally, just to keep things clean in my own mind, I just keep the number that I work with is the keepers for me, and so yeah, I've got 24 autographs for you. I got Luis Almeida the other night at like 12:30 in the morning, after they had already been in a rain delay for 2 hours, and he had got some coffee, and so he signed for me and signed for you. So that was the last one.
Yeah. Real quick before we call an end to this and move on to the rest of the show, give the people where they can follow you online to follow this trip or anything in your collection.
Yeah, and so I mean that's Instagram. I'm working on maybe getting a Facebook page. People have asked me about it. Or maybe, I don't know, some sort of centralized website where, I'm working on it. Okay. It was never the plan that I was going to do like crazy social media involving this tour, but people have asked me to do it. And so I'm working on it. But yeah, Instagram, if you want to follow my Michael Young collection and, just random stuff, about my actual card collection, you can do that on Arron's Sports Card Explosion at Arron Sports Card Explosion on Instagram. That is Arron, Arron. If you want to follow the tour, I'm working on getting all of that up. I'm still a little bit behind. I had these grand plans that I was going to post every night about what I was doing. That has not happened because I've been up till 2:00 pulling cards every morning. But yeah, and so you can follow that at the Eternal Graphing Tour on Instagram, and that has an underscore in between each of those words.
There you go. So give Arron a follow on those places, and yeah, we'll have you back in the co-host seat next month here for our September show. And hey, good luck on these last 2 games.
All right, I appreciate it. Y'all have a good one.
Well, a big thanks there to Arron for jumping in on the later segment here of the show. And so we'll have him back on as co-host next month. And want to remind everybody, too, usually we have, we'll have Les Wolf in that segment there, just whenever more from Les is on. And in October, we're going to have him back on again, and we're going to have him doing some appraisals here. So send in your stuff. You want Les to take a look at it, tell you what it's worth, give you some idea of authenticity, anything like that. Send it on over to us. And Troy, what is the email address for that?
Well, that would be ttmcast@yahoo.com. And like Drew said, hey, he'll get your message to whomever it is addressed to.
Absolutely. So send in your stuff there for Les appraisals. We're going to be doing that in kind of late September, early October there. So try to get those in by around, middle of September there at the very latest. So got 6 weeks to get all those together and sent over to us. Right now, it's time for Making the Grade.
And now it's time for Making the Grade.
Making the Grade is a summary of all things going on around grading here in our hobby. And we once again have some monthly numbers here from the big 4 grading companies. And Troy will have you take this one and give us what we got there from those places.
Awesome. So we are looking at the month of July. Numbers have come out. So PSA graded 1.67 million cards. That was up 17%. CGC, 399,000 cards, down 7%. SGC, 153,000 cards, again, down a little bit, 3%. And Beckett, 75,000 cards, which was up 19%. So in total, 2.3 million cards in the month of July, which was up about 10% from the previous month.
Yeah. Good to see all that. And once again, we want to thank Gem Rate for providing all of that to us. And the biggest thing they're providing for us is the Big 3.
This week's Big 3 is brought to you by gemrate.com. Whose cards are hot and whose cards are cold this week? Let's find out from our friends at gemrate.com.
The Big 3 is a look at individual players and their grading trends. We look at 3 players that are moving up in the grading world, 3 players who are moving down in the grading world, and this is exclusive to TTM Cast. You won't find any of this anywhere else. And so this week's rising Big 3, Cooper Flagg up once again, 69% increase in his grading numbers, the first overall pick of the NBA draft to the Dallas Mavericks. Number 2 on the list, Joe Milton coming in up 63%. And third, we mentioned this guy earlier on because I just bought an autograph of his, Pete Crow Armstrong. All-star this year from the National League, 57% increase on his grading numbers. Well, Cooper Flagg's base card from Bowman Chrome University continues climbing the charts. That's card number 16 in that set. Its volume nearly tripled compared to June, and it was the 5th most graded card by PSA. So good to see that out of Cooper Flagg, and I'm sure Dallas area collectors are absolutely loving that. Meanwhile, on the other side, they've got some reasons to not be quite so happy there with the guys that are falling down the list. So, Troy, take it away. Who do we have moving downward there?
Yeah, moving down a little bit this month, we have Wyatt Langford, who is down 6%. Luka Doncic, who is down 11%, which I think is the amount of body fat he's lost in the last few months as well. I don't know if you guys have been following that big controversy about how, well, not controversy, but he's lost a little weight and been working out. So good for him. And Jordan Love down 23%. So Langford, Doncic, and Love all kind of coming down this month.
So there you go. And once again, a big thanks to GemRate for providing all of that info to us. You can follow them on all social media at GemRate for any kind of daily info, weekly info, and of course the monthly info we gave you there before. You can follow them also at gemrate.com on their website to dig even deeper into some of these numbers. But the big three, you're only going to find right here on TTM Cast. Let's move on now. It's time for the TTM Cast stamp of approval.
I bet you're wondering who earned this week's TTM Cast stamp of approval.
Well, TTM Cast stamp of approval is just an opportunity for us to give 2 thumbs up to something from the previous week. It's sometimes sports related, it's sometimes collectibles related. A lot of times, though, it is not. We'll just go all over the map on this one. And so for me this week, it's the great restaurant Torchy's Tacos, which I've mentioned before on here, I'm sure, at some point, because they are just that great. But I especially want to mention their taco of the month right now for the month of August is the Bottle Rocket Shrimp Taco. Now, it used to be, back years ago, that they had this thing called Some Like It Hot Month, where every August, they would not only have a taco of the month, they would have a new one each week. The first one is there for the entire month. The second one comes in the second week and stays the rest of the month. The third one, the third week, and stays the rest of the month. And the fourth one is just there for that final week. And it would gradually get hotter and hotter with each one. So your first one would be, okay, yeah, it's kicked up a little spicy. The second one's like, okay, this is even crazier. Until you get to the fourth one, which is like, oh my God, please shoot me now. And usually I would wait until like the fourth week there and get all 4 of them, just eat right through them there. And well, they used to have the Bottle Rocket Shrimp was the number 2 on that list every time they would do this. And to give you an idea, I got through both of them. I had 2 of them the other day and got through them fine. My wife had 1 bite and she said, yeah, my ears are ringing. So, and that was the number 2 on the list. So that should tell you right there. But it is back finally for this month's Taco of the Month. And so if you like spicy stuff, if you like especially spicy shrimp tacos, it is one of the best ones you will ever have if there is a Torchy's near you. Unfortunately, Troy, they do not have one in Iowa. They're in 16 states, but the closest one to you is going to be Kansas City. So that's going to be a bit of a hike for you to get out to there if you want to try that out. But hey, if you happen to be in an area with Torchy's Tacos, try it out. And listeners, if you're in a city that has a Torchy's, go and get yourself the Bottle Rocket Shrimp Taco, as that is my TTM Cast stamp of approval for the month of August.
I could handle that. I'm going down to Kansas City here in a month or less than a month, so might have to look that up.
As long as it's still in August, there you go. You can go and try it out there.
Yeah, in a couple weeks, so might have to make a stop there.
Mm-hmm.
So my stamp of approval, like I said, I just got back from Las Vegas. I used a bunch of points or rewards or something for hotels. So I had 4 nights, 3 in 3 different hotels. And one of them was an interesting one, and that is my stamp of approval. I guess there's a famous chef who I didn't know called Chef Nobu. I guess he's really famous for Japanese cuisine. And he actually opened his own hotel within the Caesars Palace Hotel. So it's a hotel within a hotel. And what's interesting about it is it's actually a shorter distance to walk from the lobby than the actual Caesars rooms. But you go into these elevators and you hit the numbers on the outside and it says 72nd floor. And you're like, what? And you go in and it's just 1 floor up. So the floors start on lobby and go to 72, and that's their lobby, right? But it is an amazing hotel. Like, Caesars actually gave me a disclaimer when I booked the room, like, okay, it's in Caesars, but it's not really Caesars. And so I was not expecting anything. Oh my gosh, it is so nice. And you can get right to it. It's in the middle of the Caesars like casino floor. Free slippers. Who doesn't like free slippers that you can take home as well? Great view, at least mine was, of the Strip and the Caesars properties, but definitely recommend. I didn't get any room service or anything just because that's really expensive in Vegas right now. So Hotel Nobu, I guess they have them around the world now, but definitely check that out. Whatever city you're going to, you will not be disappointed. Great rooms, very comfortable. A lot of seating area, at least in the one that I got. Bathrooms are huge, with the phone in them, as all old bathrooms have. But, you know, now you just take your own in there, right?
Right.
But definitely check out Hotel Nobu or Nobu Hotel when you're going on vacation. I think it's a great place.
Sounds great. And actually, they might have, 71 floors in between there up that 72nd floor. There's just 1-inch floors is all it is going all the way up to
there.
So.
That's right.
I've actually heard of hotels doing that, like especially the ones that skip the 13th floor. They'll have like just a small space in between there so you can say, technically that is the 13th floor. We just don't have any rooms on it. So, yeah.
Yeah, what I thought was interesting was you put your card before you get in the elevator. And then once you get in the elevator, there's no buttons or anything. It just knows where you're going. And so you select it on the outside instead of the inside. Just kind of a interesting thing. So
yeah. So there you go. That's this month's TTM Cast stamp of approval as we now move on in to the Vern Rapp Minute. The Vern Rapp Minute is just a moment for us to be able to memorialize some of the great signers of the hobby that have died in the last month or so, trying to cover anybody in sports, celebrity, music, movies, TV, politics, anybody like that. We'll try to let you know because once in a while, we all have sent off to somebody that we didn't know had already died, and that's how this came about. It's dedicated to Vern Rapp, former Major League manager, minor league ball player. Our show's founder, Jeff Baker, had mailed to him not knowing that he had already passed away, and so we provide this service to collectors out there so they don't make the mistakes that we have made. And the biggest one, probably the one that's on everybody's mind, I'm sure, since, this is a Hall of Famer and just happened the last few days or so. We lost Ryne Sandberg just this past week, age 65. He was a second baseman, of course, for the Phillies, but also most notably, most of his career as a Chicago Cub. Spent 1 year with the Phillies before the trade. Played from 1981 to 1997, and as I mentioned, he is a Hall of Famer. He was a 1984 National League MVP. He was the National League home run leader in 1990. He was a 10-time All-Star, a 9-time Gold Glove winner. If you rank the greatest second baseman of all time, Sandberg is easily top 5 on anybody's list. I'm sure plenty of people will put him number 1. I would not argue too heavily against that, but definitely one of the greats of the game and great to the hobby as well. He was, signing by mail all the way up until last month. He was willing to do stuff at $10 an item only, and you can't beat that for a Hall of Famer. And so Ryne Sandberg died this past week, age 65.
And next we have Jim Clancy, who was a pitcher from 1977 to 1992. Played for Toronto, Houston, and Atlanta, which is kind of where I remember him from. His iconic card to me was the 1982 Fleer card. That was just one that I had, and I was on the Blue Jays Little League team at the time, so one of my favorites. He was a 1982 All-Star, and he won Game 4 of the 1991 World Series. Now, Jim was a great TTMer, even through last month. So again, we lost Jim Clancy, who was 69 years old.
Earlier this month, we also lost Bill Dennehy. He was a pitcher from 1967 to 71 with the Mets, the original Washington Senators there, and the Detroit Tigers. Dennehy only played in 49 games his career and only had a 1-10 record, but I was sitting there, I'm thinking, this guy didn't have, huge stats. Why do I remember his name so clearly? And it's because he shares a 1969 Topps rookie card with Tom Seaver. And that is where I'm like, that's where it was from. So shared that card with him, and he was a very good signer of it all the way up until last year. Bill Dennehy was 79 years old.
And we also lost Lee Elia, who was a shortstop from 1966 to 68 for the White Sox and the Cubs, and was also a manager from 1982 to 88 for the Cubs and the Phillies. And he was a great TTMer through May, charging only $5 each. Lee Elia was 87 years old.
We also, moving into football, we lost Billy Krischer this past month. Krischer was an offensive lineman for fairly short career, only played from 1958 to 61 with the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Dallas Texans of the AFL. But he made the most of that short career. He was an AFL All-Pro in 1960 and played in the AFL Pro Bowl in 1961. Krisher was a great TTMer through about 2023, and he was 89 years old.
And we also lost John Pitts, who was a defensive back from 1967 to 75 for Buffalo, Denver, and Cleveland. He had 10 career interceptions and 1 sack, and he was a great TTMer up until this past February. So again, John Pitts was 80 years old.
Moving on over into basketball, we lost Frank Layden this past month. Layden was a coach for a long time. He actually started out with Niagara, where he coached Calvin Murphy for a number of years. From 1968 to 76, he was there with the Purple Eagles. Moving on to another team in purple, he was the Utah Jazz head coach from 1981 to 89. He won the 1984 Coach of the Year award there, as he had was the years of John Stockton and Karl Malone right around that time. Layden was an excellent TTMer through 2021. He was 93 years old.
And we have Wayne Thomas, who played from 1972 to 1981 for Montreal, Toronto, and the New York Rangers. He was a 1976 All-Star with 10 career shutouts. And he was a great TTMer all the way through 2025. Wayne Thomas was 77 years old.
Continuing on through hockey, we lost John Mishuk this past month. He was a defenseman for a pretty long career. Played from 1963 to 77. He's a Detroit Red Wing, a Chicago Blackhawk. He was part of the Philadelphia Flyers as well before moving on over to the WHA for a couple of seasons at the end of his career. He actually was a member of the first Philadelphia Flyers team there in the 1967 season and was their top scoring defenseman on that squad as well. John was a great TTMer through last year. He was 84 years old.
And a big one in my world, we lost Terry Gene Bollea, otherwise known as Hulk Hogan, brother, this past week. He was a WWE, WWF, WCW wrestler from 1977 to 2003. And I had been watching so many documentaries this past week, just reliving some of those great matches of his. You also probably know him as Thunder Lips in Rocky 3. Why are we even saying what he's known for? Everybody knows Hulk Hogan.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? You'd see all those meetups at his shop down there in Florida. Just, he loved the fans, and the fans loved him even when he turned heel there. And great TTMer through 2021 for $40, which is pretty awesome if you go to any shows for current wrestlers and everything. But Hulk Hogan, again, passed away this past week, and I think wasn't he 71? It's not on the sheet.
I think so.
But
yeah, I forgot to write it down there. I think 71 sounds right. Yeah.
Yep, I think that's what it was, because I've been keeping track of this one. This was a big one.
Yeah. Into the world of soccer, we lost Sir Gordon Jago this week. Sir Gordon was a center back for Charlton Athletic from 1954 to 1962 over in England, but more famous as a coach. He coached a team over in England in the 1960s and came over and became a member of the Baltimore Bays over here stateside. He actually worked in the Baltimore Orioles front office there for a bit as well while he was with the Bays. He coached the U.S. men's national team for a year as well, went back over to England to coach the Queen's Park Rangers, the favored team of a former roommate of mine from college, and then came back stateside once again, going down to Tampa Bay to coach the Tampa Bay Rowdies, and then moved indoors to be the head coach of the Dallas Sidekicks in 2 different stints there on the inside the arena, I guess is probably the best way to put it there, because it's not under a dome. That's kind of implies bigger, but indoor soccer coach there for a number of years and won a couple of MISL championships there with the Sidekicks, and I think the WISL as well. But he coached from 1962 to 1997, so a very long career, and then went into broadcasting after that, where he was a commentator on the Sidekicks broadcasts all the way up and through probably about the last 5 years or so, I think is when he finally hung up the headset there. Sir Gordon was an excellent TTMer through at least 2012, and he probably signed quite a bit after that as well. I don't have a whole lot of info on soccer autographs, ironically, despite being a collector of them. But Sir Gordon Jago was 92 years old.
And we also lost Felix Baumgartner. He was an extreme athlete. Everybody probably knows that he was a skydiver, and he set a record with a jump from 39 kilometers in 2012. I don't even want to, I get goosebumps like looking off a ledge at the top of the Air and Space Museum. I don't even want something about not really looking up, but looking down. I don't know. He reached Mach 1.25 during his descent, and he was a good TTMer at least through 2014. Not much data on the past 10 years, but Felix Baumgartner was 56 years old.
Moving on into the world of music, we lost Tom Lehrer earlier this week. He was a songwriter from the 1950s through the 1970s and was also a mathematician along with that. He was a college professor and did a whole lot of work in the field of mathematics. Actually worked inside the U.S. government for a while in what became the NSA. So done a whole lot of different things there. And Tom Lehrer is an absolute master of parody and satire. And anybody out there who is a fan of, the Alan Shermans of the world, Dr. Demento stuff, Weird Al Yankovic, if you're a fan of any of those, you owe a major debt of gratitude to Tom Lehrer. He was the first one that really kind of made that sort of stuff famous there. And he was an excellent TTMer through at least 2021. I actually got him to sign a card during, I think it was like 2019, 2020, something like that. Just made a custom index of him. Tom Lehrer was 97 years old.
I remember Poisoning Pigeons in the Park from
Tom
Lehrer. So that was a big one back in the day. We also lost Ozzy Osbourne. Obviously, he was a singer as well. Black Sabbath and a huge solo career. TV show The Osbournes was immensely popular. Ozzy, he did some TTMing returns pretty much back through 2014. And this was obviously Tom Lehrer as well. Big hit to the music world, his passing this past week. Ozzy Osbourne was 76 years old.
Another death in the music world that notable here was Chuck Mangione. He was a jazz musician, most notable for playing the flugelhorn. Not exactly the most common instrument you'll ever find out there. I mean, you think jazz, you're thinking, saxophone and saxophone, trumpet, trombone. He was a flugelhorn player and had a big hit in the late 60s, early 70s of Feels So Good, an instrumental piece on the flugelhorn there, and became more famous in the 90s as made several appearances on the show King of the Hill, where he was the spokesman for Megalomart on the show, and actually played up his kind of one-hit wonder status while he was on the show, talking about anytime he would play a song, it would go into Feels So Good. Like he came in to play the national anthem at a baseball game and started playing it and ends up going into Feels So Good for half of it. And just always played up that. And he was an excellent TTMer through at least 2022. Not sure about any time after that, but Chuck Mangione was 84 years old.
And we also lost Connie Francis, who was a singer and actress. She recorded in over 6 languages, so she was known all over the world. And she was also a good TTMer even throughout this year. Connie Francis was 87 years old.
Well, if you've lost anyone this week, our thoughts are certainly with you as we move on now to our TTM returns.
Was our mailbox full this week? Let's take a look at this week's TTM returns.
Well, it is the main reason why the show exists is to talk about what we've gotten back in the mail here on our autographs here. It is the TTM returns section of the show, and I have a freaking ton here. I ended up getting 19 of them back in the last month, which anybody who has been listening to the show for a long time may know I've had some weeks and even months in there that have been a little bit slow, where it's like, I get 1 here, maybe 2 here, maybe 6 months we got to the monthly portion, and I'm at 19 of them this week. So please bear with me. I will try to go through them quickly here, but also give each one its due attention here. But try to go basically in order of when I received them. So starting at the month, early on in the month, I got back John Koncak, former basketball player for the Atlanta Hawks, and he was part of the 1984 U.S. Olympic team. He signed, it took about 2 months to get back to me, and the cards I sent were not the ones I got back, but I'm not complaining either because I like these ones I got back a lot better. So it's like, hey, I will gladly take those. But yeah, got him back. Got a Mackie Sasser back as well, former catcher for the Mets, the Pirates, and the Mariners. Signed in 2 months for me as well. Sent to pitcher Mark Knudsen. Mark was I'm not sure if he was a starter or reliever, but either way, he was a pitcher for the Brewers and the Rockies. He was actually the first native of Colorado to play for the Colorado Rockies. Since retiring as a player, he has been a columnist for several Colorado sports websites and newspapers. I think he's done some writing for the Denver Post. He did I believe it was the foreword or intro to Don August's autobiography, if I remember right. So very good signer there. Took him only about 2 months. There's a lot of great late 80s, early 90s Brewers pitchers that are very good signers. Knudsen is one of them that should be right at the front of that list. I mailed off to Glendon Rush as well, former Royal, Cub, Mets. Lots of teams in there, but he's now a coach over in, I think it was Montana. It's one of the teams in the Rocky Mountain area there. I think it's with a Montana team up there, one of the college Woodbat Summer League teams. He signed for me in about 3 months. I mailed off to Andy Van Slyke as well, former outfielder for the Pirates mainly, but also spent some time with the Cardinals when he first came up, and I think an Oriole late in his career. Sent him 1 card and $20. I got back 2 cards signed, including the 1991 Donruss card there. So little reference to Troy there when that came back. It's like, hey, that's cool right there. But took about 6 weeks to get those back to me. I also got back Scott Williams, basketball player for a whole bunch of teams. I was at least with the 76ers, the Cavs, the Bulls. Came up with the Bulls originally. A couple other teams in there as well, and he's one of only 4 players in NBA history to have been a teammate of both Michael Jordan and LeBron James. He got those cards back to me in about 3 months. Earlier I mentioned that I had some private signing stuff I mailed off to one that Jamie Bly is running, and I got one back from, I forget the company off the top of my head. It was, I think, like, it might have been Pro Baseball Clinics now that I think of it. Was running one with Rafael Santana, former shortstop for the Mets and the Yankees at the very least, maybe a couple other teams there, but needed him for one of the sets I was working on. So when I saw that for $15, I'm like, yeah, we'll go ahead and jump on that. Got that back in a few weeks turnaround in there. Coming into my more recent ones, got a Jay Buhner back just the other day. Of course, he's been signing for $5 an item through his post office box in Boerne, Texas. Boerne, that is Boerne. But all money there goes to buying coffee for first responders in the Central Texas area there. I also mentioned to him that, hey, one of my favorite hot sauce companies is there in Boerne. So if you want to do something else for them, get a few bottles of hot sauce there. So Brad Davis also signed for me in a week as well. He's another guy who's here in Texas, played for the Dallas Mavericks, and later was a broadcaster for them. Signed cards for me in about a week. Mike Birkbeck, another one of those former Brewers pitchers that I mentioned earlier on when I brought up Knudsen. He pitched for them in the late 80s to early 90s and signed for me in 3 months via his home address in Orrville, Ohio, right around the Canton-Akron area. Jim Peterson, former center for the Sacramento Kings, signed a few cards for me. He had a week turnaround there as well. Had a couple long ones come in as well. Doug Collins, former coach and the Basketball Hall of Famer, signed in 1 year on his rookie card. Got back Kevin Stevens, former forward for mostly for the Penguins, also played for the Rangers, the Bruins, and the Kings at times in his career. Took 1 year to return his to me as well. And just yesterday, I got in 6. So a very busy day at the mailbox there, as we got in former Cardinals, Patriots, and I think maybe Oilers punter Rich Camarillo. Took 2 weeks to get him back. Fun thing about Camarillo is one of the cards I sent off was his 1991 Pro Set card. And anybody out there that is an early 90s Pro Set geek as much as I am is going to go, wait a minute. He wasn't in the 91 Pro Set. And that's because they only made a card of him in the Spanish set. They made a smaller set of kind of a cross-section of the main 800-card set. I think they knocked down like maybe 200-some cards or so. And Rich Camarillo and Max Montoya did not have cards in the regular set, but they made special cards for them for the Spanish set since they both are of Hispanic background. They figured, hey, let's put in cards to them for the Spanish speakers out there. It's like, hey, I got to send that one off now since that's kind of a bit of a phantom card, which I wrote about over on Sports Collectors Daily. I also got back Dave Hoppen, former center for the Charlotte Hornets, the Chicago Bulls, maybe a couple other teams in there too. He took 2 weeks to sign. Stanley Roberts, former center for the LA Clippers, also a 2-week signer there as well. Kurt Stillwell, shortstop for, the Reds, the Padres, the Royals, maybe a couple other teams there. He took 2 weeks as well. Tom Filer, yet another one of those Brewers pitchers, also spent some time with the Blue Jays. He took 2 weeks to sign for me, too. And finally, wrapping everything up, Garth Orge, former third baseman for the Blue Jays and a former manager, or coach at least, of a team here with the when the Texas Airhogs were around. He was part of their staff for a number of years. Signed cards for me in 2 weeks as well. And so there's everything, all 19 or whatever it was that I've gotten in during this past month since our last show. So that's, I guess, if you write them, they will come, is all I can say there, because I finally got down and wrote 30 of them out and got a whole bunch back there. And I've got enough stamps to send 12 more out here right now, so I know at least I've got Rick Sutcliffe is going to be going out, as is Roger Salkeld, former Mariners pitcher. Both of them have been signing a little bit lately, and we'll throw it out and see what happens there. So, Troy, what have you had coming in here over the last few months here? I know you mentioned the Griffey purchase there earlier on, and you've had a lot going on with that 2023 Topps set that you had mailed out last year. What's come back to your box here lately?
Yeah, I got a few RTSs, late RTSs, I guess, from that 2023 Topps project. I'm still at only 33 successful returns out of 657 cards. So still kind of disappointing there, but not surprising by any means. What was surprising was I got a call from my old P.O. box in California. And for those who don't know, I've been back in Iowa since 2017. Saying, hey, you got some mail. I was like, I do. And it's a commercial business. So they, I knew it was going to cost a little bit to send it to me. And I was like, do I throw it away? What if it's, what is it? And so I did have them send it to me. And it was actually 2 different sends. No, it was the same one. So I sent 2 cards to Delino DeShields Jr.,
Oh, yeah.
And those came back in 2,878 days. So that's a long time.
Yeah.
It's not my longest by any means, but obviously these are 2017. I think that's 2017 Topps. So that was a surprise to get those back. I honestly didn't think that the P.O. Box place would even remember me to send me something. So, hey, props to them. Don't know where it is off the top of my head, but I also got Luis Aguayo, 499 days. I think that came back from Puerto Rico. I don't know. It wasn't in my stack here, but that came back. Again, 499 days. Dave Anderson, 303 and 527 days. You'll kind of notice a pattern here that all of these are greater than a year.
Right.
But got a Dodgers three Dodgers cards. Yep. 3 Dodgers cards, 1990s junk wax cards.
Oh, yeah.
But kind of fun. I believe I, at the time, was just going alphabetically on those. Two that might interest you, Mike Bullard.
Oh, yeah.
And two NHL cards. I think it was he a center? Yeah, he was a center for the Flyers. So 2 of 2 there. And the last one I had sent to him once before. I'm not sure. Again, I think it was because I was going through the A's in my sorted box. Kurt Ainsworth, 473 days. So all of those greater than a year. Some, or that Delino DeShields Jr. one, man, 2,800 days. I think
that's what,
that's
six, almost 7 years right there.
I know.
7, almost 8 years even. Wow.
Yeah. So that's my contribution for this show.
It's always fun when you get the stragglers like that back, as long as they sign at least. And I mean that's definitely a real DeShield sig on there. So it's like, all right, that is definitely good there. But I had back in 2013, I got Richard Dent back. It had been out for 7-8 years at that point. He's not a TTMer. I did not know this at the time, so I was just working off of Harvey's list, which gives you the address, but doesn't tell you much more than that. But I mailed off to him, and it took 7 years for them to get a note back to me saying, sorry, I'm too busy to sign. I'm like, yeah, clearly you were if it took you 7 years to send that back in there. So,
wow.
Yeah, I mean, at least that one with your DeShields there, at least that is that it's signed and it's definitely his SIG on there. So it's like, hey, that's a solid one right there for sure.
And I did want to give a little bit of a shout out. It is TTM related. There was an article in the Ames Tribune earlier this summer. They had a little reception at the ball fields here in town for Jack Smalling, honoring him as a member of the first Ames High baseball team. And of course, anybody who collected autographs in the 90s and early 2000s know of the Smalling books and stuff like that. He's here in town, still going strong. And they kind of honored him at I think it was the first game of the season here in town. So that was kind of cool. I didn't make it, but I saw the pictures on the newspaper website, and so that was kind of fun.
That's definitely cool. I mean, yeah, Smalling's an absolute legend, and anybody who's been even somewhat close to the hobby here for any amount of time, his books were, I mean, those were lifesavers to people in the early late 80s to early 90s, even well into the 2000s, I'd say even. So, yeah. Definitely cool there. Well, there you go. Troy, any thoughts before we go ahead and wrap this up? Anything to add in here before we go ahead and sign off?
No, it's kind of fun just to kind of slide into the seat here this morning, like old times, and share some of those returns with you and talk about the shows and everything. And you didn't give me the Dedham show, so kind of broke that tradition. Usually that one was mine, but yeah. Maybe I'll see you and some of the listeners at Nationals next year. It's time to start planning if you're going to go.
Absolutely. Yeah. I tried to start planning my road trip a year in advance. So it's like, all right, it's on as of right now. Got to start getting spreadsheets together. So definitely, if you're able to make it out there, we'll definitely be meeting up there. Any other listeners as well. And if you're at the National right now, or we're at it this past week, since we're around to the last couple of days of it, hope it was enjoyable. Hope we've got some great stories we'll be seeing about it out there. And there you go. So once again, Troy, thanks for jumping on the co-host seat. And of course, you're welcome back anytime. And good to have you here as our top stand-in here now with Arron being out on the road.
Thanks again.
So once again, big thanks to Troy for that, for Arron for getting on here during the on the road segment that we put in the middle here of this week's one. And of course, big thanks to Ruthie Baker handling all of the production work on the show and sending this one from our mouths to your ears every month. Our next show should be coming up. I believe we're going to shoot for Monday, September 1st. Going to try to put it right on the 1st there. It's Labor Day. We've got time to record, I would think, /hope for something like that. But we have Clemente Lisi on for this one, as we'll be just getting into the start of soccer season. It'll be just before the basketball and hockey teams all get their seasons going. So talking to him about, upcoming stuff. We'll probably talk about this Upper Deck MVP release we mentioned earlier on in the show. And we'll just see what he's been up to and how things have gone for soccer and what they're looking like for this year as we move into the time of the World Cup coming to the U.S. less than a year away until that happens. So we'll talk Clemente next month. In the meantime, thanks for tuning in this month. We're wishing you many happy returns, and we'll see you next month here on TTM Cast.
Everyone, be good.